The New York Knicks and President Leon Rose are playing 4D chess in the way that they are approaching this offseason right now, as they have found themselves at the center of a lot of attention right now. And this is continuing as the Knicks, a team that loves building up pairings together, is once again making that plan in order to fill out this roster perfectly. If you hear the sirens outside, it's because this is an absolute monster of an update that we have that absolutely sounds exactly like something Leon Rose would do, and we're going to break it all down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here. If you guys are part of that 72% that's not subscribed to Knicks Digest, make sure to subscribe. We got daily videos like this every single day. You do not want to miss out on all that great New York Knicks content. Also, if you're a New York Yankees fan, a New York Jets fan, a New York Mets fan, make sure to check out those channels as well. Sometimes you'll find me on Mets Digest, you'll find me on Jets and Yankees Digest every single day. Make sure to check those out also. Let's jump into it. There's a lot to go over. The Memphis Grizzlies made a big trade yesterday, sending Desmond Bane away, and now we are seeing Jaren Jackson heavily connected to the New York Knicks, as the Knicks are known to have interest in acquiring Jaren Jackson Jr. in a trade. Now seeing that the Grizzlies do look like they will be blowing things up and rebuilding, as no teams in the Western Conference are really doing a full sell-off right now in order to try to really just retool, rebuild the roster. We saw that step one happen with them trading away Desmond Bane, and now we are seeing that continue. Jaren Jackson and John Morant in a bunch of trade noise as well, and also seeing them fire head coach Taylor Jenkins, who also is now up for the Knicks job. And all this is tying together, and we are going to jump right into this because, guys, as mentioned by Chris Persianen, since hiring Leon Rose in 2020, the Knicks front office has utilized its relationships often for the team's benefit. One example was hiring Jaren Jackson Jr.'s father, Jaren Jackson Sr., shown pictured here, as an assistant coach for the Westchester G League affiliate in 2021. From that January to May 2023, the elder Jackson served on Derek Alston and Rose favorite Desagna Diop's staff. Now, Jackson is no longer there, but he now does have a rapport with the New York Knicks, with the Knicks front office. There is that connection built in there. When this happened, there was some talk about, oh, well, maybe the Knicks are trying to get Jaren Jackson Jr. Well, they obviously like the idea. They obviously have that connection built in. It is a real possibility here. And Persianen also mentioned that Jackson Jr. is a former creative artists agency client of Rose, CAA. The University of the Incarnate World added Jackson Sr. to their men's staff in 2023, ending his Knicks tenure. Jackson Jr. remains with CAA under agent Austin Brown. The 2023 Defensive Player of the Year has 1 year remaining on his 4-year, $104.7 million contract before he becomes a free agent. And obviously, Jackson Jr., he's not going to re-sign with the Grizzlies team if they start to lose games. He will move on. He will look to sign with another team as an unrestricted free agent, and that will mark a significant moment for the Knicks as they can go after him in free agency, given they'd have to make some tough choices, while also, instead, they could try to capitalize on the trade market on Jackson right now, which would be a smart move. Chris Persianen mentioned a potential trade that's pictured here, and just to take a look at it, it would be pretty huge for the Knicks. Now, the New York Knicks would acquire Jaren Jackson Jr., John Konchar, and Vince Williams Jr. in exchange for Mikal Bridges, Mitchell Robinson, 4 second round picks, and the Washington Wizards conditional first round pick that will be top 10 protected next season as well. So there will be an offer like that. Is a great offer. Basically, if you're the Knicks and you get a chance to make that trade, you make that trade. Is there a world where Memphis accepts that? Sure, it's possible. I think they'd have to give more. I think they'd have to give a bit more. They'd have to find something else that continues to work in their favor, whether it's a young guy like a Tyler Kolek, Bacome Dadier, or an even lesser young guy, but still young guy of like the Deuce McBrides of the world, something like that. If they want a big man that's not Mitchell Robinson, if the Huck Porty thing, something like that. There would be a lot that you can kind of do to try to sway Jaren Jackson, or sway the Grizzlies to giving you Jaren Jackson, that is. And the Knicks would have to make a blockbuster trade to get it done, but I do believe the Knicks would be interested in doing that. Persianen mentioned that the Knicks front office has become infamous for its confident approaches to recruiting. It's unlikely that the franchise expected Jackson Jr. to demand a trade because of their sideline addition in Westchester, but sources familiar with the situation have said that at least one key member of the Knicks front office has long been interested in Jaren Jackson Jackson Jr. as a trade target. The Knicks' acquisition of Karl-Anthony Towns, last offseason didn't nullify this interest either. League sources say that Jackson Jr. and Karl-Anthony Towns front court would be a dream pairing for New York in their starting lineup, and I could not agree more. This is a perfect pairing for the New York Knicks. 100% the Knicks would get so much better with that pairing. You add Jackson Jr. to a team with Karl-Anthony Towns, and these two make up for each other in so many ways. Towns is a dominant scorer. Now, Jackson's a good scorer. Don't get me wrong. We're going to discuss everything on that in a few seconds. But Towns is a great player. We know the defense is an issue. No one's pretending like the defense is not an issue. They don't have rim protection when Towns is out there as the true big man when they have that original starting lineup of Jalen Brunson, Josh Hart, Mikal Bridges, OG Cat. Now, Jackson, he slides into the 4, his more natural position, and solves that problem. That's what happens. He solves that rim protection problem. Now you have great rim protection, one of the best rim protectors in the NBA, in Jaren Jackson, next to Karl-Anthony Towns, making up for that lack of rim protection there. On top of that, if you start Jalen Brunson and OG, assuming Mikal's in the trade, you can keep Josh Hart off your bench as your 6th man. And you could throw in like a Deuce McBride. You could figure out another guy to add to that starting lineup. You could create that 5 out. Jackson's an excellent shooter, so you have that as well. And all of a sudden, this is an excellent New York Knicks team that we're looking at. I would love this deal. I would love the Knicks to do it. And obviously, it's no secret, Taylor Jenkins is a leading candidate to get hired by the Knicks as their next head coach. You could sort of start that connection thing up again. Now, we know Jenkins and John Morant didn't get along very well, but that's not necessarily the case for the whole team. It was mentioned by Brian Windhorst that what does this mean for the Grizzlies? This is now what is being asked in the league because this is a rebuilding trade. When Kentavious Caldwell-Pope has proven to be a key piece of a championship contender twice in his career, last season did not look like that. And he has gotten older and has a big contract. So this is a trade where the Grizzlies are pivoting a little bit. And it's not an insane thing because if you look at the Western Conference and you look at how tough it is to compete and you look at what Memphis thinks about their hand, it may be the time to do a little bit of a pivot. There's not almost anybody in the Western Conference who is really rebuilding right now. Everyone's kind of got the gas put down. He even mentioned that the Jazz are sick of losing as well. So there's also that to look at. So all this works in your favor. You know that Taylor Jenkins, he got an offer to be the Knicks' first interview for the head coaching position. That's a big deal. He's the first guy who's going to get a chance to interview to be the next head coach of the Knicks. That is huge. And that totally, you know they're aware of the Jackson stuff. They're not missing out on that. Leon's not like, oh, well, coincidence. No, he knows what he's doing. The Knicks have Jaren Jackson as a CAA client. Well, the Knicks don't, but CAA has Jaren Jackson as a client. Leon is still heavily involved in CAA and what goes down there. On top of that, you look at this team, they could perfectly use Jaren Jackson to the best of his abilities. It makes all the sense in the world to do this. Now, Jackson did not have a great playoff run last year, albeit 4 games. He had 2 great games, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, he had 2 games that weren't as great. His shooting numbers from the field were just awful. I mean, he put up 16 points per game, 5 rebounds, and 1.5 assists throughout that. He only blocked half a shot per game as well, which was concerning. He shot 38% from the field and 27% from 3. So his numbers there were terrible. His true shooting was under 50, which is awful. But it's 4 games, and he did have some moments. That last game, yeah, he played absolutely awful, but it happens. The Grizzlies were not really built for that. They were not built to win that, so I'm not really stressing over that, if I'm being honest. I don't really care that much into it. Taylor Jenkins was successful with Memphis as well. I mean, Jackson won Defensive Player of the Year under that, and I know there was that weird thing about the stat inflation thing that may or may not have happened, but it doesn't change the fact that Jaren Jackson Jr. is a great defender, and Taylor Jenkins, 250 and 214. He's great at on-court adjustments, and he's great at mid-game adjustments, something the Knicks could really use after Thibodeau, who only did it after it felt like he was forced to, and on top of that, you get a guy in Jenkins who is a young coach who's very well respected and very much could help this Knicks team really turn things around, which would be absolutely huge. Now, Jenkins was 9-14 with the Grizzlies in the playoffs in his coaching career, but the only loss that really was a really bad loss was when they lost to the Lakers, who were the 7th seed to the Grizzlies' 2 seed. The Lakers ended up going to the conference finals. They beat the Warriors as well in the second round, but it was LeBron and AD. Like, are we really going to hold them to that LeBron and AD beat him in the playoffs? This was LeBron and AD in 2023. We're going to sit here and pretend like that's a real 7th seed. Come on now, let's be real. Especially, I believe, maybe it's just the assumption, they were probably dealing with injuries. Like, I imagine that Anthony Davis missed some time that year with injuries. I just expect him to because he usually does. No shade towards AD, he just does. And Jaren Jackson has spoken glowingly just about Taylor Jenkins in a general sense, and that's a huge part of things here. Jackson said, that's my dog. That'll forever be my dog. It was surprising when he got fired. It would have been surprising at any point. He had a great impact when he was here. He's going to be one of the more sought-after coaches in his journey elsewhere, and deservedly so. And Jackson was right as the one coaching vacancy in the Knicks. They're interviewing Jenkins first before anyone else. Last season, Jackson put up 22 points per game, 5.5 rebounds, 2 assists, 1.5 blocks, and 1 steal per game, shooting 49% from the field and 37.5% from 3, while also shooting 40% on corner threes, which is excellent. The Knicks love a corner 3. I know they're not coached by Tibbs anymore, but still, you got to love a corner 3. On top of that, just the big thing when you think about Jackson that people kind of bash him for is the rebounding aspect. You have Karl-Anthony Towns. You have Josh Hart. You still have rebounders. You have an undersized guy who's getting way more rebounds than you expect. You have a taller guy who's not getting as many rebounds as expect. Josh Hart sort of covers him for that. The Knicks, they would lose Mitchell Robinson in this trade. They would probably have to go out there and get another big man just in case Ariel Hukporti deals with any injury stuff or just isn't fully ready yet. That's all. I like Hukporti. I'm happy with him being in the rotation. I'm not saying he can't be. I'm not saying Hukporti's bad. I do think Hukporti could easily be in the rotation next year, but I also like a veteran big man who could pull down some boards as well. So I hope they would do that also on top of everything else. But with the Knicks, with the Jaren Jackson stuff, this makes perfect sense. You pair him right back up with Taylor Jenkins, and you absolutely love that pairing. What do you guys think? Should they go out and do that trade that Chris Persianen did suggest? Let me know in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe, turn on post notifications. Have a great day, and go Knicks.